to detail, but everyone agrees if you read it on the internet that it will not work. The most probable issue that you have is that with a two-phase commit, in the case that you need to do a recovery, when one of the databases is not accessible or is down, then you end up with logs, so you do not have anything that is scalable, what you, of course, started for your microservice world journey, so that's not an option. But as I said, the developers are very keen on using it, and a lot of things are done by transactions for them, like the asset principle, the atomicity, the consistency, isolation, and durability. So that means that the developer doesn't need to care about how should the data be written to the two tables. It just stores the data, and the system takes care that the data are always aligned, the values are always aligned, that there is proper isolation, so that data which is not committed, they are not able to read by other users. So the transactions, a very nice thing, a good thing, but we have an issue in the microservice world due to that CAP theorem. Who has heard about the CAP theorem already? A few people. The CAP theorem goes about the three aspects that you see there on screen: consistency, availability, and partitioning, and they have even proven it mathematically that you can only have two out of the three at the same time. So if you have something like partitioning in a distributed world, then, well, you have to choose one of the two others, consistency or availability. Most of the people choose to have the availability always available, because that means that your data is accessible whenever you want that you can save your updated data and whatever. And consistency, well, that drops then out, and then you have that eventual consistency that at a certain point in time you will have all the data together, but not immediately. Interestingly enough, a few weeks ago, I had a discussion with someone. They said, oh, but we are dropping availability, because consistency is so important that we are dropping availability. But that's another story. Another issue with transaction is something what people call long-running transactions. If you have something like a business process there on the right, you have different steps. Each step of that process is done by another person or done on another day or whatever. So how do you define the single unit of work in that case? Do you only store your data at the end and hope that the first step is still contains valid data and not someone else has changed your data already? So long-running transactions is also an issue in the traditional world, and it's also linked with microservices, of course, because you can easily see that each step can be represented by a microservice in your environment. A more classic example, the website where you can book your flight, your hotel, and pay for it, and maybe you can book also your car and book your museum visits. You do it via one UI, one website, and behind it calls the necessary services for you by different companies. So when you pay your trip, you have your flight and your hotel and whatever, at the end you hope that your flight seat is still available and that not someone else who has started in the same process with you, but maybe a few minutes before, has already taken maybe the last seat. So those are all typical situations for a microservice world or even a more classic world where you do not have that asset principle available for you. So you as a developer, you have no longer an atomicity. You have only eventual consistency, no isolation. So you need to store already some information for that flight because otherwise other people can take that seat before it is paid. So that is an issue. But for every issue, there is a solution, I would say. So what do people do? They use the Saga pattern. but it's just a way of thinking for a solution. It's not a solution in code. It's a conceptual solution where you say, okay, we have that business process. Think again about that image that I showed you earlier with the different steps. And for each of the steps of that business process, you have two major actions that you can do. One is the actual action which update, inserts, or whatever do the regular functionality of that step, reserving your flight seat. But next to that one step, you always have a second compensating step available. The step which says, okay, when there is something wrong within the flow, and that can be because the credit card is rejected, or the person just closed his browser, and after an hour, 2 hours, you need to say, okay, this is not a valid running action anymore. So that compensating action undoes your first action, which was the actual intent of your step. In this case, making that seat available again for someone else. So by using this rather simple process, I should say, you can make sure that you reach something as at the end as an eventual consistency. Because at the end, when your process is done, everything is completed, every step is completed normally, without errors, without failures, without whatever. You have all the data available. If there is something going on wrong at the end, for instance, with the payment, as in this example, then every step is contacted to do its compensation, and you have again a consistent state of your data. MicroProfile. I know a few people, of course, who know MicroProfile, but who knows MicroProfile and what it does? Okay, about half of the people knows it. It's a good thing, because MicroProfile wants to give you some tools, some code to make it easier to develop something like a microservice with the enterprise Java technology. So based on some Java EE specifications like CDI for dependency injection, JAX-RS for the REST endpoints, and the JSON handling with JSON-P and JSON binding, you have a few specifications which makes your life easier, like for defining your configuration so that it is stored outside of your application, things like fault tolerance, which is of course very, very important if you are in a distributed environment, because you need to prepare for failure. Fault tolerance can do a retry, the circuit breaker, and a fallback and things like those. You have also things like security, the JOT propagation. You have things for metrics and health to see if your service is up and running and things like that. So if you're not familiar with, check out the website. Not have the time to go more in detail about it, but within MicroProfile, we were thinking about, okay, we need something. We have that Saga pattern, but as I mentioned, is a conceptual solution. So we need something which can be code, which can you import within your project, and you can use that Saga pattern. We have a first release candidate available since the summer, I think, something like that. But the API didn't change, I think, in the last 2 or 3 months. So it is, I would say, stable. So the only thing that we are now checking out is the wording in the specification, that it is all clear, that is no confusion possible, a few additional tests to make sure that everything works at the implementation as expected. And the MicroProfile LRA is based on that Sagas, the compensatable actions, very loose coupled, built on top of JAX-RS, loosely coupled because the only thing which is propagated and linking all your microservices together in one transaction is one single header, which is handled to all your services. So, no, I thought it was time for a demo, but first maybe, how does it work on a very high level? And this is not the only possible way, but you have always the terms. You will always hear the terms within the specification. And that is that the participant is actually watching over every JAX-RS endpoint. So whenever someone calls that endpoint, it is looking at the header, see if there is the appropriate transaction ID or LRA ID present. And based on that, it can start a new one or list itself with the running one. So saying, okay, I'm joining that transaction. And all that information is assembled by the coordinator. It can be also integrated within your service. It doesn't need to be outside. And that coordinator is the one who says at the end, oh, this transaction failed, so I need to notify each participant that the compensating action needs to be executed. You will see it in the first demo much clear how that works. So time for the demo. But first a few annotations, because then it's more clear if I show it you here. We have the LRA annotation on a YAXRS resource, and that LRA annotation defines what needs to be done. Do I need to start a new transaction? Do I expect that I participate in an existing one? So when there is no transaction available, then I get an error, and all those kind of things. Secondly, you can annotate some methods with @compensate and @complete. And those are the compensating stuff which is performed in when things go wrong, the compensate, or when things are successfully, because you can, for instance, mark that your flight seat is reserved, but you can say maybe it's not yet paid a flag. If everything goes well at the end successfully, then you should remove that flag that is temporary, and that can be done by the @complete method, for instance. And as I said, there is just one header which is important, and it contains the LRA ID, which is a URI, which you will see in how that it looks like in a moment. So the demo. What else do you expect for a demo than a Hello World for the beginning? It's not very realistic, but it will show you the basic principles, how it works, and that will make it easier for the other demos that I will show you. I have here a project where I'm just relying on the microprofile dependencies. It is already quite an old version. Why? Because I'm just needing the basic stuff of microprofile. You can combine it, of course, with all the other specifications, but that's not the point of this demo. So I need something from a microprofile. And since I'm demoing with Payara, which not has official support for the long-running actions implementation, I need to add it here also to my application. At a certain point in the future, this will be just removed and it still will be working. The YAXRS resource is very similar to the one that you know from YAXRS. You have that @path annotation. The only requirement is that you need to define it as a CDI, because we are building on top of CDI, and that's one of the constraints required to make, for instance, that compensate and that complete method to work. So you have your regular endpoint. You define here a get endpoint on that hello path, and yeah, you can just return anything. The microprofile LRA specific stuff is that here that you have that LRA annotation that says, oh, in the case that you call this endpoint, start me a new transaction, also ends it immediately. I'll come back to that later, why it is ended immediately and how you can keep it open. But this is just say now for easy, start me a transaction. I still call it transaction, but you know, I'm meaning the long-running action and action ID, but everyone knows what when I say something like commit and roll back a transaction, even in this micro service world. Although that I did not send or will not send a certain header to that endpoint, you can still ask the content of that header, because it will be added automatically by the implementation. That's your unique identification, and you need to store it somewhere. If you later on need to use it to say, I'll need to do a compensating action for that specific action of the user. Here, hello world, I'm just returning that information. Since this is just a successful invocation. So the transaction is completed, closed under normal conditions, which means that the complete method will be called. So the system will call this method somehow behind the scenes in an asynchronous way when the result of your endpoint is already sent to the caller. And then you can do whatever is needed based on that same LRA ID that you will receive. Here, just a system out print line. Yes, it is an hello world. I have also a second example with a cancel path. And there we have somehow an exception. By default, if we have the 400 and 500 family of exceptions of the HTTP status, you can configure it yourself in that @LRA annotation. Then the transaction is closed abnormal. You have a rollback in those terms, and that means that this compensate method will be called. So in this hello world, I will call both endpoints, the successful one and the one which fails with an error, and then you will see that those compensate and complete methods will be called. So let's switch over to the browser. If I call that endpoint, you see that hello world, and here that unique URI, which is already preparing for some future extension of the specification where we will be made available that we can have the coordinator of many implementations who talk to each other and who can change the information. So that's why I have prefixed it here with the Payara one, and this is just one, a UUID, which is automatically generated. If we look at the output, the log file, we see here that the completed was called for the same transaction ID A45, the same as which we received here in the endpoint. Cancel, internal server error. We throw a web application exception, and here we receive the system out for that compensate method. Hello world, not very useful because why the hell would you start a transaction which immediately ends? But the idea is that you see that those compensate and complete methods are called and that there actually is no direct link between those two, except that they are happens to be in the same class. So each class, each participant, as we call it, because there is the @compensate method, if there is an endpoint called within that JAX-RS class, you have those compensate and complete methods available. Let's go to a more realistic example. Yeah? We need not only be a hello world type thing, but we need a real distributed example where we start up 3 services, 3 different JVMs, okay, all on my machine, but actually it can be located in 3 different parts of the world if you like it, not that it is recommended. But the first one, the service A, receives your call from your UI, for instance. The user has initiated some action, and that service A calls first that service B, which starts the transaction, keeps it open, and within that return of that service B, you find that LRA ID, which I showed you. That service A then calls service C, putting that LRA ID in the header of that call, and that service C will end your transaction. In the example, it will be successful, but because service C ends the transaction, the coordinator will make sure that every participating party, in this case service B and C, will be notified of the successful completion, and thus the complete method will be called for service B and for service C. So let's start first of the 3 JVMs, so that takes a bit, so let's get that started and then have a look how it looks in the code. So this distributed our service A it calls this service B. In the response, we take that LRA ID header. We call service C with that LRA ID added to the header, and we just return it, because even after the transaction is ended, the unique ID is still available, because that should be unique, so we can still keep track of that ID. It's not that it disappears somehow. Service B, we see again that LRA, but this time we define end is false, meaning the transaction is kept open. Why did we define it by default true, so that it closes immediately? Well, if the developer somehow forgets to keep it open, then you can call an endpoint, it's open, but actually there is no more other involvement in that transaction. So that is never closed, that transaction. So it can be kept open for a year, for the decades. So that's why we have close it by default, and you need to do something specific so that you are aware, oh, I have opened here a transaction, I need to close it somewhere. Within Payara, you can also say that there is a maximum time of that the transaction can be open, so you can limit to 24 hours or a week or whatever. But that's something specific. And at the end of the transaction, we will have that again, that compensate the complete method, which can be called when the transaction closes. Here, of course, not very useful, because I do not even get the LRA ID, so I do not know even which one was closed or canceled, but whatever. The idea is that you see that the data flows. The other one, this service C, there we have, again, end is true, so we close it, default value. But here we say mandatory. That means that if we try to call that service C with a blank header, with no header specific to LRA, you will receive an HTTP status 412. A precondition failed, and the precondition is there needs to be an active transaction. For the rest, the same. I have my get here. This is successful. If you comment out this line, then you can also have an error, so to test the compensate values, but now the complete will be called in this case. So let's go to that endpoint. So it is, we have service A, REST main. We call it, again, we receive that information. If we look at the output on the console, we see that service C and B are called both the complete methods. So somehow the system, namely the coordinator, knows that, oh, the transaction was closed, and that does need C and B to be called. The order here is of no importance. It is, well, not always pure luck, but you cannot count on the fact that your service C, which is the last one, will be notified in the first. That's the thing that you do not need to take into consideration. In this case, it happens to be, and it's a good thing. You can see also, sorry, the information more have the data which is gathered about is kept in the system about each transaction. So for each sorry. So for each transaction, we keep the status. In this case, it is closed because it was finished. You can see that there was a contribution of service B and service C within the transaction. And both of the transactions, both of the participants, reported that they have done all the compensating, here all the complete actions, and the system says then, okay, everything is fine. And I hope that I've talked enough indeed, and then we know we can forget about this transaction because everything is finished, normally handled in a consistent way. We have reached the point for eventual consistency for that transaction, and then we clear it out, that information. Now a bit more about that, how you can do that compensation, because that compensation, of course, is important, and you can do it in the different ways. Just kill my JVMs first here. So in the hello world, or in the other example, you saw that the compensate method just returns voids. Void means for the coordinator, I have received your callback, I have acknowledged it, and I have done everything what is needed to do decompensate. So void is actually the same as returning some status saying I have done everything which is needed. But you can specify those things more explicitly. Here in that compensate method, I explicitly return a status, because that compensating can take some time. It can even start up a new transaction, because it can call other services. It needs to wait maybe for acknowledgement that it is fixed over there, that it is that the action is done over there. So you are allowed to return the status compensating, so that you already notify the coordinator, okay, I have received that I need to do the compensation, but okay, I'm busy with it. Please come back a bit later and see if it's done or not. Coordinator says, okay, fine with me. After some while, and within Payara you can configure that time, is going back to this compensate method saying, okay, are you finished now, or what's your status? You again can say, yeah, I'm busy, please come back later. Or at a certain point, you can return compensated, everything is done, or there was a failed, because your rollback can also fail in this case. Then you have, of course, a special situation that you need to fix manually or write some procedures to consolidate that, that status. I'm not going to, yeah, I can show it, I think. No, sorry, I don't have a lot of time, so, but I'm going to start it up. But I will show you the other example, which is a variation of this one, because this method is now used for two things. The coordinator will call it to say, hey, start up the compensating action, but it will also be called by the coordinator to ask for a status of that transaction. So those are two functionalities within the same method. That's for some people not the nicest solution. So that's why we have introduced another annotation which is called at status. The first call will always be to discompensate. So this still means coordinator send a message to the participant, start your compensating action. And he can say, okay, I've acknowledged it and I'm busy. But the implementation sees that there is an at status annotated method. So the second call will be directed to this method. And this method will then ask for the status for this specific LRA ID, long-running transaction. And it can answer compensating, I'm busy, compensated, I've done. It can answer failed, or you can say, hey, I don't know that transaction ID. And then, of course, the coordinator can act accordingly to all those statuses. So to see it in action, compensating, not that one, that's not what I needed. I would try to do the status one. I get an internal server error. I throw an exception so that the compensating gets rolling. And every 4 seconds, the first one is here to the original one, and then every 4 seconds he asks the coordinator from, hey, are you done? Finished? After the 4th time, we return compensated, and you will no longer see the end. If we do it again, we ask for the status, and we ask here, and we see how it is going on, compensating. then we see here that you have a status canceling for the LRA. So it is in the process of doing it. And if there are all other participants, you can maybe see that other participants are already finished and that only that one participant is still doing the compensating stuff. So that's the one that we are waiting for. So you exactly know where what the status is and what everything is doing. Or at a while you see that it is cancelled because this one said, I've done with it. So the overall status is cancelled. But there is even another solution which is maybe more preferable than calling this compensating status over and over again, and is doing it asynchronously. This compensate method can return something like a completion stage, saying, okay, it returns immediately, saying to the coordinator from, I'm working on it, but you only return, in this case, after a 20-second sleep. Yes, this is hello world stuff. After that 20 seconds, it says, okay, the status of my completable future is compensated, it is done, and that coordinator will pick up that future value at a certain point. And just as with calling that status method, it just says, okay, everything is done, everything is fine, we are in a happy world, we have reached the eventual consistency state. So you see there are various ways. We have done it on purpose. You can even define them as a YAX-RS endpoints if you like, but that's another story. So because every situation can be a bit different, and maybe you have different use cases or want to use different cases for those compensating stuff. I also told you about that timeout. By default, we can define a timeout, a global timeout, but you can also say, oh, this LRA at maximum, it can live for 5 seconds. After that, it will be cancelled automatically and the compensate method will be called. 5 seconds, of course, is not much, but for demo purposes, if I start it up, then I don't have to wait a day or so before I can say, hey, you see, it has finished. So that's one thing. Another thing which is important, because I mentioned already that you have the possibility to say that it's failed, the compensation has failed, but maybe service C says, oh, I failed to compensate, but service B maybe wants to get notified when the transaction which he was part of it did all the compensating things that were needed, but the overall outcome can be failed. So maybe that's an interesting stuff to know. So that's why we have introduced the after LRA. So if the transaction reach a final state, meaning it is compensated or it is completed or it failed to compensate, then you get the ability to get notified about that and do whatever you need. That's up to you as a developer to define what then needs to be done in that case. Another option that you have, the example is a bit messy, but the idea is that with that example from that UI where you book your flight and plane, that you first selected, oh, I want to visit a certain museum, and then afterwards, oh no, I changed my mind, and then you unclick. So that endpoint can then be annotated with @leave, meaning I was part of that transaction. I would be asked to compensate and complete, but the user already did the necessary actions, and so I'm putting myself out of the transaction. My time is up. You can find the slides. I will share the link on Twitter. But the idea is that you have seen a few things about transaction in the classical way and how you have issues in a microservice world, how microprofile LRA with that compensatable actions can give you maybe a nice solution. So thank you for your attention. If you have questions, please come over and then we can discuss them, of course. Thank you.